Blah, blah, blah. Like, how am I supposed to do? Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, let's talk about pronunciation. So if you're new here, my name's Danielle. I have been teaching English as a second language since 2014. I have a master's in applied linguistics, and I've also studied several languages myself. So on this channel, I'm talking a lot about languages and also sometimes about culture. Anyway, let's focus on pronunciation today. This is such a hot topic when it comes to language acquisition or language learning. People want to sound just like native speakers. They don't want to necessarily have an accent, and sometimes we just want to be able to pronounce things that are just really difficult to pronounce. So for starters, I want to say if you have an accent, don't worry about it. Almost everybody does when they're speaking a foreign language, and it's incredibly difficult to get rid of it, so I would just not even worry about it. Just make sure if you're understood, you're good to go. Moving on, we have, as we're learning a language, new sounds. Most languages will have sounds in them that are different from the sounds that are in your native language. Some will be the same, some will be different. If something is different, it may be difficult for you to create that sound. The reason is because, well, there are two big reasons. One is sometimes we can't hear all the sounds in that language, at least not for a while. We have to basically train our ears. Like a musician has to be trained to hear notes and be able to distinguish them. Think of it like that. Like we have to train our ear to be able to hear all of these different sounds that we're not used to hearing in language. That can take several months for most people, so don't worry about it if it takes some time for you. But that's one big thing with pronunciation. If you can't hear the sound, you're not likely to produce it yourself. The second thing is that if this language has sounds in it that are super different from what you're used to creating in your own language, you never had to train your mouth to move in the kind of way that produces those sounds. So basically, when you're a baby and when you're a little kid, you're getting used to using your tongue and your lips a certain kind of way and pushing air through your mouth and your nose in a certain kind of way to produce the sounds in your native language. If you learned a second language when you were really young, you probably automatically, without having to think about it, figured out how to do it, because that's what humans do when we're super young. We are basically in training without even realizing it in how to move the muscles in this area of our face to do the things that make language come out the way it sounds. So when you're going to learn another language, if you didn't develop those skills in that language when you were very young, it's going to be super hard to do that when you're older because it's just not innate to you. Some people will be able to figure it out, it'll be fine, right? But most people, it's just going to be super hard. So again, I would not overly stress about trying to sound just like a native speaker, because even though it is possible, it is extremely time consuming and it really puts you in your head. It makes you extremely self-conscious in a way that's actually just not productive. And I would argue not a really good use of your time. Most people, by far, are going to be able, when they listen to you, make adjustments in their listening and just figure out what you're saying and you'll be good to go. So again, don't overly stress with it. But even so, there will be words or phrases or sentences that will just be difficult to pronounce. And the best way I have found to get around this is with my students while I'm teaching them, and things I have done myself as I'm studying another language, is to just
slow everything down.
Especially when you are new to the language, slowing everything down helps your ear catch all of these new sounds that are unfamiliar to you. So slow it down so you can hear it all. That's first. Second, when it comes time for you to create that sound yourself, also
slow it down.
Because that gives your mouth a chance to make those sounds in a supportive way. In other words, if it's slow, I might actually do it. If I have the pressure of moving really fast, I'm likely to trip and mess it up. So slowing it down gives our ear a chance to hear everything, and slowing it down also gives our mouth, especially our tongue and our lips, a chance to actually move in the way that it needs to move to make that sound. And then, as I get more used to it slow, then I can start speeding up and I can try to do it in a way that's more natural to how natural speech would pronounce it. I also, by the way, really love to use physicality with pronunciation practice, because think about it. Language, we're all in our head about it, right? Like, we're thinking, we're hearing things, like stuff's coming out of our mouths. I like to bring in some physicality to shake things up a bit, because it gets us a little bit less stuck in here and more out and about and moving like how we would naturally use language in the real world. And that's what we want to be doing eventually, not just like sitting here like, oh my God, I'm studying all that. Like, we want to be like out in the world using the language. So let's, for this example, use our hands. If you'd prefer to use another part of your body, you can do that. I'm going to use my hand, okay? So let's take a word with a lot of syllables. Those tend to be difficult for learners to pronounce. An English word, hippopotamus, okay? Hippopotamus, 5 syllables. Also, it has a lot of P's in it, which gets tricky for people, okay? So hippopotamus. You can do this with me. Hippopotamus. We're just going slow in the beginning to get used to hearing those sounds and making them ourselves. Hippopotamus. 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 So if you're a native English speaker, you're like, yeah, I get it. If you're not, if you're working on your English, that may have actually been really helpful for you. As you're doing that, you can make the speed faster or slower, up to you. Okay, the idea is we want to play with it. Hippopotamus, 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 hippopotamus. So even if you can go faster, it helps to then slow it down again just to make sure you caught everything in that word. Okay, let's do another one. Choreographer. So a choreographer is somebody who makes up a dance, makes all the moves up, and those are the moves that dancers will do in it. The choreographer is the person who makes sure everything flows together nicely and is beautiful. So choreographer, 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 choreographer. Eventually it should just flow. Hippopotamus, choreographer, and we don't need to use our hands anymore. I had to do this myself when I was learning Greek, because some Greek words are just so long. And all of those new sounds for me, I like the sounds, but they were a lot of new sounds, and I was like, what is going on? So a word I had to do this with is the Greek word for entrepreneur, epihirematias. 7 syllables in that word, and I had to use it, and I was like, like, how am I supposed to do, like, I would just get all tongue-tied, right? So I would slow it down. Epihirematias, 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 epihirematias. I have to tell you, I studied Greek several years ago and I forgot a lot of it. By now, I can't forget that word. I spent so much time with my fingers getting that word down over a few days that I can't forget this word. So anyway, this technique should work to help not only with your pronunciation, but also your memory, because like, I will never forget how to say entrepreneur in Greek now. So I hope this tip was helpful for you. Definitely slow it down, help your ear, help your mouth, get it out. Use your hands or some other part of your body to get physical with it, because it gets you out of your head. We want to be like using the language, not in the language, right? So again, hope it was helpful for you. Definitely let me know in the comments anything else you're struggling with or wondering about. Happy to help with that. And thanks so much for watching. Efaristo, which is Greek for thanks. So I'll see you in the next video.